Izuku Midoriya sat on his living room couch, going through photos of his daughter Ivanako that she had sent him. Midoriya's daughter was at high school, more specifically, UA. The pro hero couldn't have been prouder of his little girl. Sadly though, due to her quirk being a late bloomer, only having manifested when she turned 10, her little body didn't quite adjust to its changes just yet. So she needed to contain her true potential. Didn't that sound familiar? Because of that handicap, she only managed to get into Class 1B. But he didn't mind that. What are you looking at, hero? Your Class B daughter? Must feel like a bitch having a B-class daughter when you yourself were in Class A, A cold shower washed over the green-haired man. That was Monomoa. Izuku didn't even look at him. Hello? Have you gone deaf? The blonde prick stayed behind him for another 5 minutes, trying to insult a response out of him, but nothing. Shrugging, the intruder left into the bedroom. As Deku looked after him, he growled. The guy didn't even bother putting on underpants. Oh, that certainly ruined his evening. Seconds later, his wife, Uraka, appeared from the kitchen. Well, she at least bothered to put something on. Hey, Deku. Why him? Of all people. She blinked. I'm serious. He pointed at the bedroom door. Like, anyone would have been better. Uraka scoffed. You're the one who agreed to this. There was no use in fighting. Angrily, Izuku got on his feet and walked up to his home's door. Where you going? You can join us, you know. He bit his lower lip for a moment. He seriously considered it. But then a key was inserted in the door and it opened. It was none other than Bakugo Katsuki, Izuku's best friend and rival pro hero. The man was already tearing open a pack of condoms. Wait, since when do you have a key for our house? Stuttered Izuku. Oh, I gave him one since he's here so often. Moin her so often, eh? Sup, Deku? One last time, Deku gave Uraka an angry scowl before pushing past his friend. Frustrated, the man walked to his car and sat down in the driver's seat. He refused to cry over this, before quietly pulling out his phone, opening his contacts. The man was looking for a name, your name. And he sighed in relief when the messages he sent you went through. So he wasn't blocked, thank God. Deku, really needed you right now. All of this happened 3 years ago. Midoriya was mentally in a really bad place. His mother was in the hospital. Nothing major, just a broken leg. However, at the same time, Ivanako got measles. And worst of all, he had been sent to Germany for an advanced combat exercise with the top heroes of Japan and the main German hero agency and minor government body, Schicksal. During these 2 months, his wife, Ochaku Uraka, had committed adultery, with whom the man didn't know, but he just assumed Bakugo. The obvious answer after such betrayal was divorce, but neither him nor Uraka could really handle such a public eruption. Plus, there was still Ivanako. She'd be devastated. Instead, Uraka had come up with an incredibly selfish idea, and sadly the broken man agreed to it, to declare their marriage as open, semi-publicly. Well, it was called progressive in the media, and they praised their decision. And it certainly increased the amount of positive publicity for the two of them. While she was called empowered and independent, strong, and a feminist icon, he just became a cock. Mostly due to her having men line up at their door, while he was walking the darkened streets all alone. Well, at least until he met you. He had been kicked out of his house by 4 men once and was drinking away in a seedy bar in the Port District. The port was ruled by the creatively named Port Mafia, a dangerous group of villains that had become a bitter rival to the remnants of the Supernatural Liberation Front. However, the Mafia understood rules and wasn't interested in politics, only money. Hence why there had been an unwritten truce between the Port Mafia and the heroes of Japan. It was simple. You heroes stay away from the Port District and let us handle things. No one gets hurt, and the remnants suffer. Honestly, the heroes were just glad that the 2 major villain factions were killing each other on their own, and didn't require any interference from the police or the heroes. He had watched you. You were a singer. You were performing a simple jazz number, accompanied by a piano and a saxophone. He couldn't help it. He was enchanted by you. It was the same feeling he had when he first interacted with Uraka at UA all those years ago, but more intense, more sensual. As you finished your song, the bar erupted in applause. You bowed to the men that had been ogling you. How you ended up here was a mystery to you. If someone had told you you'd be singing for the worst scum of the planet, and you became an adult, you would have gotten mad. Maybe even cried. But by now, all your dreams had faded. The only thing slightly enhancing your boring life, the applause of men who, if it wasn't for the bouncer Ollie, would probably all jump on stage and turn you into their personal plaything. That night, when Deku had just happened to be here, someone in the crowd made a move on you after all. As you had retreated into your changing rooms to switch from the Mafia-owned cocktail dress into your regular clothes, a giant man took the opportunity of Ollie the bouncer's toilet break to enter right behind you. He pushed you against your mirror, tore off your underwear, but just then Izuku had kicked down the door, having seen the entire thing, his 0 senses pushing him forward. With a single jab of the man's neck, was knocked out. And after that, the 2 of you met up a week later. You were thankful, and, well, he was just glad to have a distraction from his horrible home life. The romance between the 2 of you didn't start immediately, of course, both because he was afraid of making the first step, and your work at the bar. It was better for business if you remained single. So for a time, he just came for your performances. You felt safer when he was there. And Izuku, even occasionally, chatted with other patrons. Most importantly of all, however, your bodyguard Ollie, who needed to know that he was with you, otherwise the hero would probably get beaten up quite badly. He smiled as he saw the notification on his phone that you replied. "Hey hero, what's up?" you had typed. You typed in response to his texts. A strange feeling of melancholy overcame him whenever he read your texts. It's happening again, he typed. You smiled as you read his text. God, Izuku was such a cutie, but when it was something other than hero work, he could be such a baby. Considering in the past, whenever Uraka kicked him out, he'd show up at your door unannounced. So this was quite the pleasant change. Do you have... The text ended there, and for another 5 minutes the chat was unmoving. Meanwhile, you got up from your bed and began getting dressed. You lived in a tiny apartment just above the bar, courtesy of the Port Mafia. Seems as if your singing enchanted them. Or at least was to the liking of the high-ranking members. Thankfully, there was no direct connection from the bar to the apartment through some back door. While silly, it made this place feel a little safer. You picked up a few clothing articles and threw them into the washing bin. You should really end this habit of just throwing stuff off of you and then leaving it, often for days. Finally, you heard the notification. 2 days? You blinked. Wait, what? Was your response. When she parties like she does right now, with Bakugo, it'll take a while. So do you have 2 days? Of course you knew of his living arrangements. You sighed heavily. You should just ditch her already. 10 seconds later, he replied. I'll do it. I promise. But only when my daughter's out of UA. I don't want to hurt her. When she's still, growing. You sighed as you began sweeping your floor. You really weren't a homemaker, were you? Why did you allow your apartment to wither like this? Minutes later, your phone went off again. I'm on my way. You sighed and continued cleaning your apartment. Deku lived in that preppy suburb that had been built about 10 years ago. Most heroes in the top 20 lived there, plus a few rich people who loved the feeling of safety they got from it. So it would take a while for him to arrive. Quickly and quietly you opened your windows. The cool sea air from the port slowly wafted inside. You so rarely opened them. Mostly to forget the world outside. To you it was just grey with a bleak horizon, save for the ocean's polluted waters. That was black. Honestly, you just wanted to get the stale air out before Deku would arrive. Leaning over the windowsill, you watched at passers-by and cars, until 30 minutes later a certain green metallic electric car appeared from the crossroads ahead. A high-class vehicle like this in your area could only be him. He parked across the street from you. You tilted your head, barely able to make out his silhouette. He was fidgeting with something, and when you left it, he was carrying a small blue box in his hands, and under it was a paper tube. What the hell did he buy? You groaned and walked up to your apartment door, waiting for the ring. With a smile, you answered over the intercom. Hello? Amazon, blurted Deku's voice over the speaker. You snorted. He sounded more chipper than his texts indicated. You were not sure if that was a good sign, so you pressed the button to let him inside, and then opened the door, waiting for him as he ascended the stairs. You could hear the rustling of the paper tube, in his keychain that was loosely hanging on his belt. "Hey there," he shouted as he entered your hallway. "What's all this?" you said with a concerned expression. "No hello?" he asked, sounding more desperate than he intended. "Hello, darling." Sarcasm. Good start, he hushed out of breath. With a smile, you let him inside. Immediately he darted for your old sofa. A fake leather thing that someone had thrown out a year ago. You just stitched up the tear in the seat and it was as good as new. There he placed down the paper tube and opened it up. It was a flower. An orchid. In your favorite color. I thought this would put some color in your life," he said with an awkward hum as he looked around himself. "Oh, hey! For once you cleaned up your place. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that." You scratched your chin in embarrassment. "And what does that mean?" Izuku blushed hard in response as he walked up to him and sat down. "She's lovely," you said as you looked at the plant. It was so healthy and alive-looking. "You take care of it later." Looking at Deku, his lips were quivering. "I also got you something else." You tilted your head as he proceeded to offer you the small blue box. "What is this?" "Open it, please." He placed the box on the table and gently lifted the lid. Her eyes widened, and you gasped. It was a sapphire necklace. "How? What?" You were awestruck. This thing must have been more expensive than your entire wardrobe combined. You were so dumbfounded, you almost didn't notice him leaning forward, gently lifting the necklace up and draping it around your neck. With a perplexed face, you took hold of the necklace's center sapphire. "Izuku, this is too much." It's not. It really isn't. You blinked and looked right into his eyes. "But..." "No buts. It's the least I can do." You sighed happily. Quietly, you enjoyed each other's company. And then he cuddled up with you, showering you with gentle kisses. You groaned heavily, giving yourself to him. "So, I was wondering, what am I to you? A girlfriend? A fling?" You asked with a mischievous smile, and he didn't answer immediately. At least, not until he took your hand. You sighed contentedly as you looked at his ring. You sighed with contempt as you looked at his ring. He paused, and confused for a moment, until he followed your gaze. "Wait, before you answer, let me ask something else," you said. "Does she still wear hers?" Sure, the moment had been ruined, but then he did something you did not expect. He stood up. "Would you mind coming with me for a moment?" You blinked. "Sure." You put on your leather jacket while he slipped back into the shoes he kicked off when he came in. You stepped outside. First, you were confused as the two of you walked past his car, And quietly, the two of you went until you reached a nearby shipyard by the water, where you wandered onto a pier. The wind was strong here, the waves looking as uninviting as ever. The sun was slowly moving onto the horizon, drowning the scene in the beautiful orange twilight. So, why did we go out here? He said with an amused smile. She hasn't worn hers in months. He looked at you, then down at the water. It's somewhere in our nightstand, I think. He fidgeted with his hands as he pulled off his wedding ring. For a moment he held it up, looking intently at its shine. Izuku? Without warning, he took a step back. Texas? The air around him crackled with energy, and you took a cautious step backwards. Throw down! The air exploded with the release of a powerful throw at a 100% strength as quirk. The ring, as quick as a bullet, flew beyond the crashing waves. And then the man fell on his knees, breathing heavily, tears streaming down his face. So much relief, it almost knocked him out. You carefully sat down next to him, embracing him gently, planting soft kisses onto his neck. I love you, you whispered. For the first time ever in your life, you meant it. And his eyes widened with shock, his head twisting to look at you, his mouth twitching, heart racing, face flushed with emotions. It was the first time you said it to him. And clear and soft he answered, I love you too.
Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.